Jurassic World Dominion is a 2022 American science fiction action film directed by Colin Trevorrow, written by Trevorrow and Emily Carmichael, and based on a story by Trevorrow and Derek Connolly. It is the sequel to Jurassic World: The Fallen Kingdom in 2018, the sixth installment in the Jurassic Park franchise, the final film in the Jurassic World trilogy, and the conclusion to the storyline started in the original Jurassic Park trilogy. As with its predecessors, Frank Marshall and Patrick Crowley produced the film, with Trevorrow and Jurassic Park 1993 director Steven Spielberg acting as executive producers. The film stars an ensemble cast including Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, and Sam Neill. Dern, Goldblum and Neill reprised their roles from the Jurassic Park trilogy, appearing together for the first time since the 1993 film. The film is set 4 years after the events of Fallen Kingdom, with the dinosaurs now living alongside humans around the world. The film was planned as early as 2014 as part of the future Jurassic World trilogy. Filming began in February 2020 but was suspended in March due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It resumed again in July of that year and concluded 4 months later. Filming locations included Canada, England's Pinewood Studios, and the country of Malta. Unlike its two predecessors, Legendary Entertainment was not involved in the film's production, as Universal ended their partnership with the company in 2019 after the expiration of their 4-year deal. Jurassic World Dominion is distributed by Universal Pictures and premiered in Mexico City on May 23, 2022. It was theatrically released in the United States on June 10, 2022. The film has generally received unfavorable reviews from critics, criticizing the screenplay and runtime and claiming that the franchise had run its course. The cast includes Chris Pratt as Owen Grady, an ethologist, Navy veteran, and former Jurassic World employee who was responsible for training velociraptors. He's Claire's boyfriend and Maisie's adopted father. Bryce Dallas Howard as Claire Deering, the former Jurassic Park world manager and the founder of the Dinosaur Protection Group. She is Owen's girlfriend and Maisie's adopted mother. Laura Dern as Dr. Ellie Sattler, a paleontologist and one of the consultants who travelled to John Hammond's original Jurassic Park. Jeff Goldblum as Dr. Ian Malcolm, a mathematician in chaos theory and a former consultant for Jurassic Park, as well as a key figure involved in the San Diego incident depicted in The Lost World Jurassic Park in 1997. Sam Neill as Dr. Alan Grant, a paleontologist who was consulted for Jurassic Park and is a survivor of the Isla Sorna expedition depicted in Jurassic Park 3 in 2001. DeWanda Wise as Kayla Watts, a former Air Force pilot who aids Owen and Claire on their mission. Mamoudou Athie as Ramsey Cole, head of communications at Biosyn. Isabella Sermon as Maisie Lockwood, a clone of Benjamin Lockwood's daughter that he raised as his granddaughter and is under the care of Owen and Claire. Sermon also plays the young Charlotte Lockwood, with Elva Trill portraying her as an adult. Campbell Scott as Dr. Lewis Dodgson, the CEO of Biosyn Genetics, a rival company of InGen. Scott replaces Cameron Thorpe from Jurassic Park 1993 after Cameron Thorpe was sentenced to 6 years in prison for sexually assaulting a 13-year-old girl in 2016. And B.D. Wong as Dr. Henry Wu, the lead geneticist behind the dinosaur cloning programs at Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. So the write-ups for this one have been rather unfavourable, to say the least. But I went in expecting exactly what I got, a big-budget visual feast with a big nostalgia added to boot. Now, I loved the original Jurassic Park when it was released in 1993, and of course I've always been a big dinosaur fan to boot. I've always been fascinated and enjoyed seeing dinosaurs brought to life on my big screen, and this film is one for the big screen without doubt. I absolutely loved watching this in IMAX, and the story is good enough to keep you entertained, as it were, but you really are there to watch these fantastic creatures come to life in front of your eyes. In saying that the story is somewhat convoluted, but then again, I was never going in expecting fantastic acting and groundbreaking dialogue. At the end of the day, what I really wanted to see was big dinosaurs on my screen. This is by no means a classic, and frankly, this whole trilogy has fallen rather flat for me. In fact, there is nothing in the series since the original that has reached those heights of that first film. For me, they should have kept the story nice and simple. For example, the story involving the giant-sized locusts, and the complete utter nonsense storyline involving Maisie Lockwood, played here by a bland and frankly irritating Isabella Sermon, was just over the top and did nothing for me to add to this film. I also was irritated by the character of Henry Wu. Here in this film, B.D. Wong portrays him with these sad eyes, and he looks so tired and drained, as if he was the good guy, just being told what to do. But rather, if you look at his character as a whole, he's actually just as bad as Lewis Dodgson, or any of the main antagonists in this whole film series, as after all, this is the man that's actually created most of the huge problems that the world is facing within this series. I thought Campbell Scott was adequate as Dr. Lewis Dodgson, and he sort of portrays the eccentric billionaire CEO type quite well, I thought. But for me, though, the highlight of this film was seeing the original 3 actors from the original 1993 film on screen once again, that being, of course, Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum. They just bring a gravitas and a credence to their roles and to the storyline that's been missing from this whole series. Some might say this might be a pure nostalgia pop, but I find the additions far more interesting than anything else going on in the movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm generally a big fan of Chris Pratt, particularly his work in the Guardians of the Galaxy series, which really just taps into his comedic timing along with his sense of action. Here, though, his character of Owen is completely bland and boring, and just lacks any sort of nuance to it. Not to mention his chemistry with Claire, played here by Bryce Dallas Howard, is just boring and severely lacking. And the same goes for Bryce Dallas Howard. I like her work. I think she's a very good actress. It's just that there is nothing to do here with Claire. She's just a one-dimensional character. The CGI is stunning, and mostly the depictions of the dinosaurs is fairly accurate, but obviously some Hollywood liberties are taken. The inclusion now of feathers on some of the dinosaurs is great to see, and even though totally incorrect, hearing the old Rex roar again is always goosebump stuff for me. I did like, however, how this film raises ecological awareness, particularly the narration right at the end of the film, which really highlights how we need to look after our planet. I also enjoyed the fact that the movie does not portray dinosaurs as monsters here, but rather as animals fighting for survival, and well, if you fall into the habitat, it's a free for all. It's not making them the bad guy, as it were. It's not about destroying them, it's about understanding them and understanding how we can live alongside with them, which of course is a greater message for all of us to take away from this movie, for each of us to do our own part in making this planet better for us to live in. That we need to respect our Earth and every living creature on this planet and work in equilibrium with nature rather than against it. Overall, I wasn't expecting much. I loved the visual aspect of it, I loved the nostalgia, and the overall message is excellent, but in the same breath, this could have been done way better. Jurassic World Dominion gets a 6.5 out of 10.